Hi guys, welcome back. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Let's do our September garden tour. Hopefully my voice holds out. I have been sick. I tested negative for COVID, so it wasn't COVID, but I swear I had COVID. I've read that there is a disease, we'll use that word gingerly, going around that basically produces a lot of the same symptoms as COVID, but it's not COVID, and that's what I apparently have had, and it has been a nightmare. This is the first day I have put clothes on in 3 days. I've just been in pajamas and sleeping for the last 3 days. It's kind of sad. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the fact that 1, there is a water puddle. That means it's raining. I am videoing in the rain. 2, I've had a lot of stuff going on besides not feeling well. That's scary looking over there. Don't look. Anyway, there's a video. I can link it here. That explains a little bit about that. The basil I'm pretty sure is dead. I have not been able to water it because they disconnected my water for over here a week ago. The gomphrena is doing really well. I transplanted a marigold in with the gomphrena because it was in the pot that they broke. They, as in my husband and older daughter, throwing my receiver hitch out of the bed of my truck. So I transplanted, but I haven't been able to water, so that's part of my problem. So now we're in the other herb bed because I had to move them out from beside my house. Most of the flower pots are gone. This herb bed's not doing real well either because, again, I haven't been able to water it. I do have some chives, but they're kind of looking sad. My oregano was looking really sad yesterday, but because of the rain, I think it started raining sometime overnight. It's doing pretty well, but it is going to seed. Sage isn't doing too well. And then parsley back there. Again, not doing too well. But I don't have a lot of... It's late in the summer. I haven't been able to water it. This is just what it is. So we had another little mishap happen. I got part of a new roof. Anyway, so my poor hibiscus, they've kind of taken a beating. But hey, the side of my house doesn't look ghetto-ish anymore. It still looks ghetto, but not as bad. This is my little one's flower pot. It's just so-so. Yesterday I was actually taking Christmas lights off. Yesterday was the first day I felt like getting out of bed, and I was out of bed for most of the afternoon. Oh, spider web. And I was still in my pajamas, but I was taking Christmas lights off the house, that I haven't been taking down since 2020 when I put them up. Anyway, this is doing fairly well. It is on drip, so the rose, I keep walking into spider webs. Okay, I have lots of weeds. I'm doing really well on growing the weeds. It's actually watering right now. You can see my mister sort of, but my ornamental kale is doing amazing. These guys don't look so good. Hey, I have to fix a line. I have a nice fountain going. Okay, hold on. So there's no real good way to fix it right now because the plug that sits on the top of that spigot is not there. It went shooting off, and of course I'm not going to be able to find it in all these weeds. So, anyway, woo! I have gomphrena that's doing really well. My mom is starting to put on flowers, or buds, not flowers, but buds, so that's really cool. That guy's looking sad. My flower pot that hangs up, he's looking really sad. You're just not gonna even look at him. These were some straw flowers. I don't know. Those, the water fell off of those, so those look really bad. I can't get to them because of the weeds. We're just gonna have to call the front of the house a loss. I am gonna come through and weed eventually. Not today. Let's move on down to the garden, where it looks like we had a Gourd Massacre, because we did. So my gourd that sits in the middle of my garden right here on that trellis took over everything. It came all the way out here and it was touching the grass here. It took over that potato bed That was a half a potato bed. It took it over. It took over this whole bed that it's at the far end of. It took over my tomatillos. It almost got into the tomatoes, but not quite. I said enough is enough. Like, you couldn't even walk through the walkways. I said enough is enough. And my mother-in-law helped me, and we tore gourds out like crazy. We'll get some more of that in just a minute, though. So I have these Cayenne Peppers. We're actually starting to get buds. So I think part of my problem this summer about not having a lot of produce come on was it was so hot. I mean, it was bad. So here is rosemary, and I came in and I took a bunch off, and I'm actually trying to do starts on the rosemary because I read that you can propagate them. So this is my attempt at propagating more rosemary. I've heard it as a perennial. Mine did not come back last year, so I can't verify that because I just don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and try and propagate it off and get it planted up. My marigolds, they went to heaven, I guess. This bed I finally got cleaned out, and I've just been dumping a bunch of old soil into it because it was way, way low. I'll bet I probably put 4 inches of soil into it, and it still needs more. I'm going to come in and put a bunch of compost in on top of it, which will make it better so that when we plant it up next year, it'll be better. But this was the 5 tomatoes, and I've got a few, but they didn't produce real well, and unfortunately, I didn't get them staked up like I was supposed to. That was my bad. But I do have a bunch of cherry tomatoes in here that I need to come out and pick. My basil, I basically just left it in here as a plant deterrent because they say it's a really good partner for tomatoes and it helps keep bugs and things away. So really, once the basil kind of started bolting, that's when I just said I'm just gonna leave it because I probably should pull it, but at this point I had some peppers in here kind of right in that area, and I actually got a couple of peppers off of it, but I don't know where the pepper plants are now because the weeds kind of took them over, and I'm not even sure what kind of peppers they were because I can't find the tag, even though I know it's buried in there somewhere. Over here, these were flowers. I didn't really do a whole lot for them or with them. These were onions, and they've actually started re-sprouting, so I decided to just go ahead and leave them and see what happens. That may be the wrong thing to do. I did pick a bunch of onions out of here, but I still have a bunch. Same thing. It's just kind of... I cleaned out one of my smart pots and my tub. This had arugula in it, and the smart pot had collard greens. That one, I turned the water off to it. I don't know what it was. Marigolds, my Lysianthus. Oh my gosh, look at this one. Is this not beautiful? So pretty. Kind of makes it worth it that it took forever. We've had pink, we've had yellow, the one purple. Beautiful. And of course, we've got some cosmos here. I have been working on weeding. This was all covered in weeds, just like that. And now at least you can see. My mother-in-law and I came in and we harvested all the potatoes that go to that light right there. We harvested all the potatoes. I know we missed some, but we did harvest. This wasn't anything. And actually, it hasn't been too weedy. I picked a few weeds out of it, but not too bad. This one here is potatoes. My mother-in-law came in and has harvested all the way to the light again on both sides. And I know that I see one we missed right there. My potatoes are actually re-potatoing. I don't know what that means. I didn't get out here and harvest them when I was supposed to, so that's my bad. And I knew that. This is the Gourd Bush. It's starting to try and take over again. Killed out my green tomatillos. They're gone. This I had replanted to cucumbers when I accidentally bought, too many cucumbers. And the gourds killed out all of the cucumbers, so I did not get any cucumbers. My flowers here, it killed them. I've gotten a few peppers. These are Purple Beauty. And I've actually gotten a few peppers off of them. They are in my freezer. It looks like I might still get a few out of them. Oh, and it looks like I have a potato from last year because this bed was planted to potatoes in 2021. I started kind of harvesting, or not harvesting, but cutting off the huckleberry here. We did notice that it's got some flowers, so it might berry up again, but I don't think it's going to produce enough berries to do much of anything. This was cantaloupe, and I don't like cantaloupe, but my mom and my mother-in-law and my grandma do, so that's really why I planted it. And my neighbor's ducks kept coming in and killing the cantaloupe. I've got a few little balls here and there, and they're not getting very big, but they are producing. So this was planted to yellow squash, plus I left one cabbage. The cabbage actually is doing something. I don't know if I'll actually get a cabbage head off of it, but I've never planted cabbage before, so I thought I'd let it keep going and see what it did. My eggplant, they're all yellow, and I don't know if they're supposed to be. I need to look up the variety that I planted. So I thought eggplants were all green, or not green, purple. And then my purple tomatillos, they actually started to look like they were going to start putting on pods again. I guess that's what you'd call them, berries. I don't know what you call them. But I'm not really sure that they have. So this bed here got taken over by weeds, but it was poblano peppers, and then there was nothing because I ripped out the shishito peppers. And then these were orange bell peppers, which I never got any orange bell peppers. And then the mystery plants that I got from my gardener that turned out to be eggplant. And oh, I've got a new eggplant coming on right there. Hi, cutie. And then more cosmos. These are Anaheim peppers. And I actually have a few on here that I can pick off here very, very soon, next couple of days. Plus, I've got a lot of little flowers and stuff. It looks like I may get some more. So that's exciting. In fact, I've got a little one starting right there. I've got one right there. I've got some right there. They all started coming on. I've got some on here. There's 3. When it started cooling down, when we got dropped down out of those 100-degree temperatures, and we've just been up in the upper 80s, low 90s, everything started coming back, and it's really cool. My Swiss chard I had cut back, and it's coming back. One of these was rainbow, but neither one of them look real rainbowy. Anyway, I don't know what this is. I honestly don't know. I think it's a weed, but I don't know. That's kind of sad. And then I had a bunch of onions in here that are starting to onion again. These were actually bunching onions that went ahead and bulbed up. And of course we have a flower that never really flowered. This is my asparagus, and it's just kind of here. I need to cut it back, I think, for the winter. Here's my flowers. There's enough weeds in here with my flowers that it's hard to tell what's flower and what's weed. I do have, these are Thai hot peppers, and I actually do have a bunch on here, or I did the other day, but they're green, and I think they're supposed to be red when you harvest them. So I've just kind of been letting them chill until they turn red, but I'm not sure. Those peppers, those were the giant Marconi, and I got a few off of them, but they've kind of been eaten by the grasshoppers. That's just sad. That was flowers. We got some real pretty pink flowers coming in, and I'm still not sure if I planted this or if this is a weed. I'd really like to know. I'd really like to know. I do have some zinnias that still look beautiful. And then I have some zinnias that don't look so beautiful. And I have lots of weeds. We've discussed the weeds more than once this year. In fact, I did a whole video just on weeds. You should check it out. Oh my gosh. So I planted these. These were bought from starts. They were not bought as, or I did not start them myself. And in just 2 or 3 days, I have gotten a bunch of these that need to be picked. But look. At the size of that one. Oops, they're not supposed to be that big. You usually want them a little smaller and a little more tender. When they start getting that big, they don't quite have the liquid in them for like making zucchini bread or things like that. I lost a plant here to bugs, but otherwise I need to get out here today and pick some zucchini. These are my green beans, and I planted this whole bed to green beans over the course of about 3 weeks. Those guys were actually the first set of green beans I planted, and they're the only ones that have kind of come back. The grasshoppers basically mowed them off, but it looks like they are trying to make a comeback, so we'll keep an eye on them. It'll be interesting to see, for sure. Now the tomatoes. The tomato plant here never did anything. The tomato plant here never did anything. This one, meh. I do have some tomatoes here. This was where I planted right here. This was that sucker that I planted, and he started doing really well, and then not so much. These, not so much. Those, I've got some on there, but the bugs have eaten them. So cherry tomatoes seem to be my prized possession this year, my pride and joy. The bugs have killed this end plant. And then I think one of these plants here is cherry tomatoes, and I think the other one beside it is the blueberry tomatoes. They've kind of been my prize winners this year when it comes to tomatoes. The grasshoppers ate off the tops. So I've had a few flowers, so maybe some fall tomatoes. I don't know. I'm not holding out. I'm not holding my breath. Look at these pink lisianthus. Be beautiful. I need to get out here, obviously, and weed the strawberry bed. I don't know if I'll have strawberries come back next year or not. We'll just have to wait and see. Here are my tomatillos, because they actually fell over. And it kind of looks like I'm starting to get some tomatillos coming back, but again, I'm not going to hold my breath. And for the actual garden, last but not least, the 40 some odd tomatoes, which I just quit paying attention to them. I mean, shame on me, but I did. They were kind of a lost cause all the way along. I did have some of the horned tomato worms. In fact, there's one right there. Nasty, nasty guys right there. They basically came in and demolished them. Every now and again, you'll see some flowers on them, but I'm just not gonna hold my breath any at all, because I just quit paying attention to them. Last but certainly not least are the things that were kind of over against my house. These guys are just, they're not doing so hot. I did buy some mums. I haven't been out here for a few days because, like I said, I've been really sick, and they've needed watered and just haven't gotten it. So they're looking a little sad, but my mums were looking beautiful prior to this basket. And finally those. Walking through the garden, I get my feet dirty, so I like to wash my feet off before I go in the house. I don't need to dry any of that in the house. So the rain is really starting to pick up, and I'm definitely not going to complain about that at all. We need rain. But my mama did teach me to come in out of the rain. So that is the September garden tour, and I hope you enjoyed. Think about giving me a thumbs up, subscribing down below, hitting that bell notification so you're notified anytime I have a new post. I do have one coming out very soon, another update on the barn dominium we were working on, so that might be fun if you're interested, and we'll talk to you later.